What up, 12s? Wow. Yesterday was the first official day of free agency. And for those of you who are feeling a little bit like the Seahawks weren't doing enough, weren't grabbing enough headlines to kind of, make the move needed for free agency, well, finally, we got our wish and then some. All right, I'm sure everybody by now in the entire world has heard. We got the headline of the day, basically Seattle doing a trade to get Jimmy Graham from the Saints here to Seattle. Man, I saw the news, I couldn't believe it. I was like, whoa, where did this come from? Because I don't know about you guys, but, this was not on anybody's radar. I don't think. There was talks of trying to get Julius Thomas from the Broncos and what's his name, Cameron from the Browns, and but I don't think anybody saw this one coming. No one saw this coming. So hats off to John and Pete for doing this deal and doing it very much secretively. So. Allowing them to pull this thing off. So let's talk about it real quick, the implications of it. Jimmy Graham comes to Seattle, and we get their 4th round pick in exchange for Max Unger and our 1st round pick. Okay, so let's talk about the pros about this. First of all, we're getting one of the best tight ends in the NFL. All right, 6'7", 265 pounds. This guy is huge, big target. He's a tight end, but he can almost be looked at as kind of like a really big wide receiver. In fact, when he was renegotiating his deal with the Saints, there was this legal issue going on with him because he wanted to be considered when they were going to franchise tag him, he wanted to be considered a wide receiver instead of a tight end. That being said, this will be by far the best target that Wilson has had to throw to since he started playing for the Seahawks. So that's I don't care what anybody says. That's something to be excited about. Okay. Just look at the stats. Jimmy Graham and the Patriots' Gronk, they're the only tight ends in history with multiple 1,000-yard seasons and 10 or more touchdowns. Okay? Top 2 right there. We're getting one of them. All right? And the most the Seahawks have ever had in a season was 627. And that was with John Carlson back in 2008. So, that's how big. We're talking 1,000 yards versus the best we've ever had is 627 yards. So, and it hasn't been close since that point. So what does this mean? Well, as a lot of you, if you've been listening to me ranting on here during the course of the last couple of seasons, I've been talking about how the Seattle's biggest struggle has been the red zone. And it was an issue all of 2013 and 2014, with the finale being the last play of the Super Bowl, where should have run that ball, but even if we'd passed it, again, we just have never had that great big-bodied target, that tall receiver or tight end that really allows you to sort of be your go-to guy when it comes to getting the ball in the end zone. And the Seahawks, for the last 2 seasons in 2013, we were 14th in touchdowns in red zone, and last year we dropped to 20th in touchdowns in red zone. How many times did we see the Seahawks move the ball, get inside the 20, and then have to kick field goals? Hauschka's great and everything. Love that guy. He's reliable, but you don't want to have to keep doing that, So this changes the game entirely. He's a big-time matchup problem because he's so big. You almost have to put 2 guys on him to kind of cover his area. So that's going to open up things, again, for other receivers. Kind of like when I think about when we first got excited about Percy, how we said his speed, was going to open things up for the other receivers. And, and it did for a while. Obviously, the Percy experiment blew up in our face. But knock on wood, hopefully we don't have that kind of issue here with Jimmy Graham. Time will tell, but I think this will be a different situation. I like to think that Seattle learned their lesson from that, and this is nowhere near what we're giving up to get this guy. And it's hopefully, if his ego's in check, we're going to want to get him the ball, and it won't have to divert from our scheme that we already run to do so, because I think he'll fit in right in naturally with what we already do. We run a lot of tight end sets, double tight ends sometimes, and our tight ends are already involved in the passing game, so it's not like you have to go out of your way to make plays for this guy. You just want to get the ball down the field, and and he'll catch it. Put up there, he'll catch it. So this will be the kind of target that Wilson's just never had a chance to throw to, someone big, this tall. So going back to that red zone thing, though, in the last 4 seasons, Graham has had 50 receptions in the red zone. And at the 1-yard line, he's been thrown to 9 times, and he has scored a touchdown on 8 of those 9 times, all right? So just kind of put that in perspective when you think about, should we ever be in that situation again in a Super Bowl at the 1-yard line? Nice weapon to have, right? So if you listen to Wilson's ever talk about being a quarterback, he's very much idolizes Drew Brees, which of course Graham has been one of Drew Brees' favorite targets. And you couple that with the fact that Drew Brees is also a short-statured quarterback, much like Wilson is. Those guys have very similar techniques, similar issues they got to deal with trying to throw the ball down the field, and it's no surprise that Graham was such a favorite target of Drew Brees. I can naturally see that becoming a favorite target of Wilson. Imagine, it's just these quarterback tight end combos that you hear about, the Drew Brees, Graham, Romo to Witten, Brady to Gronkowski, Wilson to Graham. I think this could be a really good staple of the Seahawks offense moving forward. So huge. And I just think, again, this will help out the rest of the receiving core. Now, I'm still hoping that we pick up a receiver, not spend huge money on a free agent, but just something, that we can draft somebody, or maybe one of those later in the season, veteran guy who's around. Yeah, hard to say who at this point, but with the core we've got now, I mean, this makes even not necessarily making a huge move, not a big deal because of this. This does become your big move. Now, the downside to it, of course, is Graham is not the best blocker in the world, and with the fact that we're a run-first team, a tight end that blocks is important. So that's something that we'll have to kind of look at, and hopefully he can work on that part of his game. But in all reality, we're not bringing him in here to block. We're bringing him in here to catch passes, and so that's why we got Wilson, who's a better blocker, Anthony McCoy, who's kind of a little bit who's good at both, and then we got depth behind that. So this, really kind of solves our tight end problem that we were looking at. So I think we'll be in good shape. Now, the other flip side of this, we are losing our center, Max Unger. That was the only thing that was kind of like to be excited about this deal, because Max Unger's been here for a long time. He's the core of this offensive line, and now that we've lost a couple of guys with Unger and James Carpenter, we've got some holes to fill for sure. And as we all know, the battle of the trenches starts with the lines, and everything flows from there. So we've got to have bodies in the line. So we're gonna have to definitely do some making up there. Picking up guys in the draft, and maybe picking up some more free agency moves to get some bodies in there. But with Tom Cable running the show on the offensive line, I feel pretty confident that we will be okay. And then you also got to look at the fact that last year, Unger did have some injury issues. He was gone for like a stretch of 6 games. In fact, starting from that point where we lost to Kansas City, Unger went out in that game, and he was gone for 6 games after that. And yet, that's when we started our win streak, and won out. So the fact that we were able to win those games without Unger, again, is good evidence for the fact that I think the Seattle will be able to manage and still be okay, even though losing one of the better centers in the league. So, all right. So, Jimmy Graham, officially a Seahawk. What's the cost? It's a $40 million contract. $10 million of that will be paid for this season, so it's costing us something. But at the same time, you look at the Unger deal. We were going to have to pay him $4.5 million anyway. So when you take Unger out of the equation, there's a difference there of about $5.5 million. It doesn't sound so bad when you kind of look at the, kind of the trade-off there. The fact that we're getting a guy of his caliber, well worth it. All right. So moving on. So many things going on in free agency. Okay, so let's talk about now the guys who we've lost in free agency. Byron Maxwell. We all saw this coming. Went to the Eagles for $63 million. He got paid, and $25 million of that is guaranteed. He's going to be set. And in fact, I was interviewed by a Philadelphia radio station. They want to get my take on Byron Maxwell and what he brings to the table. And I told them that I think they're getting a good cornerback. Did they overpay for him? Yeah, maybe a little bit. But he's, as we watched him, he got picked on a lot because of Sherman being on the other side. But the fact that he rarely got beat, kept guys in front of him, made interceptions, made tackles. He's good. He's solid. And we got to see that over the last couple of seasons with him replacing Brandon Browner. So I'm happy for him. I'm glad the guy got what he deserved. And now it's going to be, what can we do with the guys we got now to kind of replace them? So I'll talk about who we did bring in. So moving along, James Carpenter went to the Jets, 4-year deal there. So we lost our left guard with that. We also lost Malcolm Smith, who was the MVP of the Super Bowl only 2 years ago. He is now going to be reunited with Ken Norton Jr. at the Raiders. Zach Miller was released, failed his physical from what I understand, but I think it was also it was just that time. Injuries. Missed that guy. We could have used him last year, but Zach Miller's gone. We also released Kevin Williams, and tackle Garrett Scott was also released. Garrett who? It's like I made the note of the name, but it's like I don't even think the guy played that much. Anyway, so those are the guys we lost. Just a look again at the guys who are back. Of course, Marshawn Lynch. We all know about that one. He got the 2-year extension for a total of 3 years to contract from this 2015 on. Jermaine Kearse, second-round tender. So he's under the Seahawks' control. So unless somebody is willing to give us a second-round pick for him, and Seattle doesn't want to match it, that's the only way that we would lose him. But Seattle's got all the control, so hopefully they keep him. I think he's still a good clutch receiver to have. As I mentioned earlier, Anthony McCoy, our other tight end who we haven't seen in a couple years due to injury to his torn Achilles on both feet. Hopefully he can stay on the field this time, and if he does, it's going to be a great thing because he made some great plays 3 years ago in that 2012 season. So, Anthony McCoy is here for a 1-year deal, and then linebacker Mike Morgan is back for another 1-year deal. Mostly special teams guy, also backup linebacker. And so those are the guys returning. Now, free agency. So here's where it gets kind of interesting. To fill that cornerback hole, the Seahawks went and brought back one guy who's been here before, Will Blackman from the Jaguars. I believe he was released before the 2013 season. And he's played pretty well for the Jags, actually. So him coming back, I think it's good. He's a good size, good fit for what we got. And then the big free agency move, getting Kerry Williams from the Eagles it was a 3-year deal, $18 million, $7 million guaranteed. Some have speculated that we may have overpaid, but when you got needs, you have to kind of jump ahead of it and grab what you can before other teams do when you got a need, and we definitely had a need there. So he's been relatively solid, although he has given up a couple of big plays to the Eagles. But then again, Eagles, they've had a lot of issues with their secondary, so it'll be a totally different situation here with Earl Thomas back there and Chancellor. So hopefully this signing proves to be a good one. So that will help address our corner situation. That's it for the Seattle free agency status at the moment. More to come, I'm sure. But I just want to talk a little bit about what's happening in the rest of the league. It's NFC West, San Francisco. What the heck is going on down there? It's like ever since Harbaugh left, it's been like mass exodus. We got now Frank Gore was supposed to go to Philly, and now it looks like he's going to go to Indy, or is going to Indy. 3-year deal, $12 million, $8.5 guaranteed. So he's still getting money, even though I think the guy's lost a step and not quite the guy he used to be. But you got Patrick Willis, looked like he's going to retire. Justin Smith maybe retiring. Offense guard Mike Iupati is going to the Arizona Cardinals for a 5-year, $40 million deal. That's a big loss there. Michael Crabtree is a free agent. And then there's this talk of Kaepernick being traded. I don't know how legit that is. I think that'd be crazy because then San Francisco basically would have no quarterback. So I doubt that's really going to happen. But the fact that there's even talk of it definitely doesn't bode well for the 49ers. So you 49er fans, you guys had your window there. You were this close to winning a Super Bowl 3 years ago. But it appears to me that your window seems to be closing. But you guys did get some good pickups too. You got Torrey Smith from the Ravens, 5-year, $40 million deal, $22 million guaranteed. That guy's got some speed, good downhill threat. That's if Colin Kaepernick can throw the ball to him, which he hasn't shown he has actually to do so on a regular basis. Darnell Dockett from the Cardinals is moving over to the 49ers. That guy's always been bad. Besides that, yeah, big changes in San Francisco. They're losing a lot of key guys there. There have been a few interesting things, especially with Philadelphia. Chip Kelly in Philadelphia is doing really making some moves. First, they let outside linebacker Trent Cole to the Colts. Jeremy Maclin didn't get a deal worked out. He goes to Kansas City, and then they trade LaShawn McCoy to Buffalo for linebacker Kiko Alonso, former Duck, who was out most of the year last year with an ACL. And then the big one yesterday was the trade of Nick Foles with Sam Bradford from the Rams in exchange for a 4th-round pick this year and a 2nd-round pick next year. And the Rams get a 5th-round pick from the Eagles. That one, I did not see that one coming for sure. Nick Foles for Sam Bradford. I'm trying to figure out if there's some other play here, maybe something they want to do with him to try to move up in the draft to get Mariota. I mean, it's very clear that Kelly likes to keep his ducks close in the NFL, so I'm sure he'd love to get Mariota. But I just don't see, I can't see the Sam Bradford thing. I mean, Sam Bradford has been injury prone. When he has been healthy, hasn't been very good. Granted, the Rams didn't have much around him either, but a couple quick other things. Ndamukong Suh is not official yet, but it looks like he's going to Miami. Julius Thomas from the Broncos, who people thought we might make a move for, looks like he's going to Jacksonville Jaguars. DeMarco Murray with Dallas last year still has not officially found a home yet, which is mind-boggling considering what a great year he had last year. Wide receiver DeAndre Johnson, who a lot of people were hoping Seattle would go after, looks like he's going to Indy. And then Darrelle Revis, who was part of that Patriots Super Bowl team last year, he's going back to the Jets to get paid. 5 years, $70 million, $39 million guaranteed. So looks like he will probably be playing out his career at the Jets, most likely. Back where he started. Then one last sad note in free agency. Former Husky quarterback Jake Locker, who was with the Titans, they did not renew his contract, and at the age of 26, he has decided to retire, saying that he just doesn't have the passion for the game, doesn't want to play for another team. Kind of sad, watching him, all these years, local guy out of Ferndale, Washington, and then playing for the Huskies. I was always hoping he'd do well wherever he went. Guy had injury problems and just never quite got it going. So it's too bad. But I'm sure you'll move on to bigger and better things. All right, that's it. There's other things, but these were the highlights for me anyway. But yeah, we're just getting started. Very, very interesting and very exciting. So Seahawks fans, you should be very excited about this. I think this is going to be, this is revolutionary, paradigm shift, something to change our offense in a way we just have not seen. Can't wait to see this on the field. It's going to be awesome. All right, one last reminder. Maybe you have seen the video I made about John Bachner, a Seahawks fan who was paralyzed in a car accident. And we have a fundraising event on March 29th here in Seattle. So if you're in town, I hope you guys can come to it. And some of the proceeds will go to help John's family as well as 12's Feeding the Homeless. If you can come, it'd be great for you to see you there. I'll be there in person, so hope to see you there. And if you can't, then anything you can do to help to donate to our group, 12's, Helping 12's, would be much appreciated. So that's it. I will be in touch with you guys soon. I know you guys, a lot of you keep bugging me. When's the NFC Championship game going to be posted. I'm getting close. All right, I did a lot of editing on it today. It's a fun video to watch, so I am going to finish it this week. It's just taking a little longer, trying to get it done, but it will get done. All right, keep watching NorbCam. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys on the next video. All right, go Hawks.
Thank you for watching NorbCam. To subscribe to my YouTube channel, click the button at the top. To watch my Super Bowl interview with Paul Beyer from 12 for 12's radio, click the video on the left. To watch the Miracle to Clink NFC Championship win versus the Packers, click the video in the middle. To watch the Super Bowl heartbreak, my view and reaction to that final drive, click the video on the right. And check out NorbCam.com. Thanks for watching.
Go Hawks!